2, 1. Guys, welcome back to the Pump Media Studios. We've been to Italy for the European Champs, but we are back and we are on it. Today, I've got a very special guest in front of me. He's travelled all the way over from Doncaster. Let's just introduce him as World Champion Bodybuilder, Nabba Pro, Mr. Drew Walker. Drew, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Look at you looking at the cameras and everything.
I know, I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do.
Just look at me with
my hands.
Drew, it's been a long time coming, coming over to the studio.
I know, I think we've been trying to link something up since probably the Northeast. I always seem to be like in and out of shows when you're doing interviews and stuff.
You are, yeah. You do a lot, and you're a busy boy anyway, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we've just done some training over at a gym in Wigan.
Yes.
How did that go?
Really good. We decided to go for the full 9 yards today, get some training done, get some personal chats done, get some business chats done.
Yep.
Training was really good. I'm in my rebound phase at the moment, so growing really well.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
You know I'm not a bodybuilder.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
A rebound phase?
What the hell? What is a rebound? Just explain it to me, because I've heard this term now for 4 years, and do you know what? I've never asked anybody. What's a rebound?
What I will say is, if someone could bottle up the rebound phase, they would be a very, very rich person.
Okay.
Because basically, I think when you've been in a calorie deficit for so long, carbs have been low, calories have been low. When they go back in after a show, you just absolutely take everything up. You don't really gain any fat. Your muscle goes through the roof. Your pumps are unbelievable, and your strength goes through the roof. So that's the rebound.
So hang on a minute, right? So why don't you rebound the week before a show?
Because
do you lose conditioning?
Yeah.
Do you carry water?
Gym condition is not necessarily stage condition. So you might lose your little glute and hamstring lines, but you look like a behemoth in the gym. So it looks cool in the gym, but it might not necessarily be a good stage.
Let's put some talent in now and just see.
Well, yeah, is there any shows? Any shows tomorrow?
No, but we can always sort some out. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is that kind of...
So rebound is a ballooning of the muscles and...
I don't know whether anyone scientifically knows what it is.
Okay.
I assume it probably has something...
I don't feel as bad now then.
Yeah, I assume it probably has something to do with like insulin sensitivity, or just the fact that your body adapts to certain things, and it's a big change after you've dieted. It normally lasts about 4 weeks before you eat everything in sight and don't put an ounce of fat on, and then after 4 weeks you go, oh...
Fat bastard.
I'm really fat now. Thanks for the rebound phase.
Yeah.
And then you spend 6 months covered up until you diet again.
Fair enough.
But it's a good time.
Okay. So rebound phase from the Nabba Universe, where you competed.
Yeah.
And prior to that, you did a PCA show as a pro?
Yes, the Pro-Am.
That was like your pro debut, if you like?
Well, I actually did the pro class at the Worlds.
Of course, yeah. So, yeah.
And I've done a PCA Pro-Am before.
Right.
But I would consider the last two the first pro shows, really.
Yeah.
And even then, like we spoke about a little bit, I wasn't exactly planning them. So... is it cheeky if I said that I still hadn't done my pro debut? How long can I drag it out?
Well, I suppose. I mean, if you hadn't planned them and it wasn't a main goal or a focus of the year, because a pro debut, I'm guessing, needs a hell of a long time to build the tissue, to get the condition right, to put the physique together to compete on the pro stage in pro level. Yeah, top neck conditions, what I mean?
There's sometimes two approaches to turning pro: jumping straight in and seeing where you are. Yeah,
which is always a good way, because I suppose when you turn pro, you kind of start at the bottom of a pile unless you know where you stand.
Exactly. There's not many people that can turn pro and be a competitive pro. So the other option is to take some time. I kind of did a bit of a hybrid. Did the World Pro, and then did the guest spot at Mr. T's Olympia 6 weeks out from the two pro shows, and said if I looked respectable and felt like I could do something in 6 weeks, I would do them both. And it served a purpose. I was bigger. I wasn't as conditioned as I was at the Worlds, which I knew I didn't have the time to get that conditioned again.
Okay.
And I never advise people to compete 6 months apart, mainly for the mental aspect. The nature of dieting is that it's mentally draining because it's against your nature. A lot of the time you're dieting, you sort of think, I'll just eat that. No, I can't. I'll just go out for something to eat. No, I can't. I'll just have a Sunday dinner. No, I can't. So 12 months of that is mentally like tasking. Yeah. So I'm at the point now where I'm ready for a mental break.
Okay.
Physically, I was performing really well and still am. But I think the mental side's probably more important because if you've not got your mental state, you can't.
Well, it's mind over matter and all that kind of thing, and that comes first. If you're not in a mental state to do what you need to do, you'll never do it the way you should do, or to the fullest potential, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing to bear in mind. So let's. We always do this with people who we bring in for the first time because it won't be a last here. To give people who don't know your bodybuilding history and give people an insight as to where that started and where you plan to take that, I suppose. But before you do, guys, he keeps on telling me he's 27. Is it 27?
Yeah.
27 years old. World champion at 27.
Yeah.
And we were discussing this before. Bodybuilders come into the prime kind of the late 30s, early 40s. You've still got some time to go. So I do want to know what your plans are, but I do want to know where it all stemmed from as well. So if you could just give us a brief rundown. So
I kind of really beginning.
Yeah, really beginning, yeah.
Because I do get asked
from
that
the moment you were born.
Yeah. So I was born with a dumbbell in my hand. I was always a bit of a stockier kid. So there's the natural body types like endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph. I've always been a bit chunky.
Okay.
And I got to the point where I didn't quite like how I looked when I was probably about 13 or 14. And I started press-ups, sit-ups, chin-ups every night. And I've got a really organised, methodical approach to a lot of things. So sets and reps and that organisation, that's really natural for me.
Okay.
So I took to that really well. My dad always trained but never competed, and he's always been obsessed with heroes and Conan and comic books and drawings and all that sort of stuff, Tarzan.
Yeah.
So he then, I think it was probably my 15th or 16th birthday, he got me a Muscular Development magazine and a tub of protein.
All right, okay.
Which is obviously very supportive, because you get some people and they're like, oh no, you can't, the parents say they can't have that.
Yeah.
So then we got a little bit of a setup in the gym, and I made really good progress in the garage. Sorry, and then when I got
just a little multi-gym type.
Yeah, I had a multi-gym and a little bit of free weight stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I was in year 11, which is 15, 16 in the UK, all the lads were joining the gym, which is it's a very English thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
most blokes at some point have joined the gym at that age. And I was no, I'm all right, because I've never really done it as a social thing or with other people. So, but then eventually I was all right, I'll come down. Trained at Ziggy's Workhouse Gym in Rotherham originally, and then went to Thomas Rotherham College, and it was a little bit easier to go to Bruno's Total Rebuild.
Okay.
And that's when I first saw competitive bodybuilders.
Who was the first one you saw? Do you know?
Probably Nigel. Cox, yeah. Nigel Cox, Pete Brown. There were pictures on the wall.
Is Nigel still training there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Nigel,
I've
been there several times, I've just never seen him.
I guarantee you I could tell you the exact times and days to go that you would see him, because so
I've seen Pete there, but
he's probably done the same split exercise. He's just so but that's what works. So this were at this point started at 15. I were 17, 18 by that time. So I'd already been training 3 years in a gym. So then there was the under 18 Northeast Nabba. Started dieting in January, which is a May show. So we're looking at 5 months. And Nigel helped me quite a lot with that, and a guy called Ryan Denton from that gym as well, who I'm still in contact with both of them. And I'll never forget who's helped me and who's supported me along the way. So did that first show and won the under-18s, which was, I mean,
So how old were you?
I was 18.
You was
the
18.
Nabba rules are under
First of
18
yeah,
on the 1st
yeah,
of January
yeah,
of that year, which my birthday is on the 2nd of January. So
Is it?
I really,
Bonus.
I really dropped on with that one. Not that I looked like an old 18, because I was quite a late bloomer physically, which is strange for me to do well as a younger kid. But I think it was because, like I said, I'd already been training 3 years. So under 18 North East, which it's really weird with the under 18s in Nabba. This is another thing we've been talking about. Some of the qualifiers have under 18s, but the Britain actually doesn't. But they have the novice and youth finals. So I qualified for that.
They have a junior class, don't they?
Junior, yeah.
This class is under
21. So
21.
Yeah, the qualifier has under 18, under 21,
Yeah.
but the Britain only has under 21.
Yeah.
But then the novice and youth finals, which is at Brearley, the same place as the England, has the under 18 British finals.
That's right, yeah, the juniors. Yeah.
So I got ready for that, and the UK's just before that, which was at Batley at the time, won the UK. So I got like a under 18 UK title.
That was a Batley?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, because obviously it's Paul's North East and UK, which is now both Castleford, were both Batley.
Right, okay.
Batley used to be a really good venue. It were like a party. 'Cause it was a club, weren't it? So it were like, everyone would be at bar and like, it were good. So then, won the under 18 UK and came second at the novice and youth under 18. So that was my first year, 2010.
So we're talking only 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Really?
So it would. I'm not going to jump forward too much. I'll go methodically. So then, 18 months off. 20 years old. I actually went to the UK BFF under 23. I think my plan that year was to do the under 21 North East. But like, when you diet in, you're like, all right, I'll jump into a show. So I did the under 23 UK BFF at 20 and won that. And it generated a real buzz when I did that. And I remember thinking like, this is quite big actually. And qualified for the under 23 UK BFF Britain.
So up to this point, had you won every show you competed at?
Second at the under 18.
Yeah, the under 18s.
Then won the Northwest UK BFF under 23. Went to the Body Power just after. Because I'd qualified for the Junior Britain, they wouldn't let me do the junior class. They made me do the men's challenge class, which was any man.
Men's challenge?
It was any man that had qualified, anyone that had qualified for the UK BFF Britain already could do this challenge class. So I did it against someone that was qualified for the over 40s and actually beat him at 20. Yeah.
This is crazy, man. I've never heard of that class before.
Well, it was actually when, I don't know every woman's, it was when Warren used to have a UK BFF show, the Body Power show. It were a bit mad, really. I actually said after that I probably wouldn't do another expo show because I didn't feel like the emphasis was that much on the show.
Yeah.
But it were good. Yeah. And it's always a positive to compete at Body Power because you're there.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's a big event.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So, but this is like the middle of 2012 and the Britain's at the end. This is where I learned not to do that, contrary to doing it this year.
Yeah.
So then went to the UK BFF Britain 2012, which was actually at Manchester at the Sportex Arena.
Yes.
Which was mad. I think they had a pro show as well.
Yeah.
And I think Amph Bales and Flex Lewis might have done it.
Ah.
So it were like quite a big thing. And I came sixth at that. So, which I was thinking, 20-year-old, under 23 UK BFF, sixth. Potentially could have been a little bit higher, but you had like James Hollinshead did it that year, came second to Jack Stokel. Rhys Evans, he was unbelievable. Really solid top six. So this is 2012. So the following year, I waited until the back end of 2013.
Okay, so almost a year off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to Nabba.
Yeah.
Under 21, England won that. Under 21 Universe, third to Keegan Orton from New Zealand, who's actually just turned pro recently.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure what the organisation actually is, whether it's Wabba, or it might be WFF that we spoke about, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
And Glenn Ferguson, who was like,
okay,
I'm waiting for his comeback because he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Third at the Universe, which were amazing. Like, I was so conditioned. That's probably the best condition I've ever been in. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll try and drag some pictures up for it. It was ridiculous. But I were really flat. So it's, again, learning curve. Went to the Under-21 UK 2 weeks later, like a stone heavier, and won that.
Did you have a rebound week or something? Is that what?
Probably. Like, and on that occasion, it actually worked.
Yeah.
So then that's 2013. So at this point, I'm like winning all my qualifiers and falling at the finals hurdle.
Okay.
So we're in 2013. 2014, UK BFF Northeast. I probably shouldn't have kept jumping from organisation to organisation, but I did. UK BFF Northeast.
I'm surprised you're allowed.
As long as you kind of like year after year and you're not crossing over memberships per year, it should be all right anyway, but they were all right. You've got to wonder whether it makes a difference with judging, but again, I'm not going to make excuses.
And we're not talking about Nabba, obviously.
Well, that's it. So then, won the Northeast, second at the 2014 UK BFF Britain, which I were like quite close. I had some people on Flex radio straight after, which were like 3X pros saying, I thought the kid who came second should have had it, which is what it is again on bodybuilding. In April 2015, from coming second in that, I re-qualified the following year. So I was like, right, this is it. I'm having a full year. In 2015, I'm going to win that UKBFF Britain. Tore my pec in April 2015. Everyone were putting these like April Fool's posts on saying, oh, I'm quitting bodybuilding. And everyone's like, no, mate, don't quit. And it's like, oh, April Fools. So I was like, oh, everyone's doing April Fools. I've torn my pec. But I did.
But you did, yeah. How did that happen? Was that a training incident? Was it just being young and silly? Was it just a chance? Or
I wouldn't necessarily call it silly. But it's how hard do you push until you're pushing too hard? My reps were potentially too low. It's a common theme, do not flat bench. I were flat benching quite heavy. But it's like you watch people that are big and are strong and you pushing to get there. So I did like flat bench, 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plates, 3.5 plates. And my mate says to me, right, are we doing something else? I says, just put 4 plates on. I'll have a look. Locked it off. And you know what it feels like when you lock it off. Yeah, feels fine. Controlling it down, and it just dropped on one side. And I just went like, no, get it back on. I don't know how we got it back on. And I just laid down. I went, I've torn my pec. And he went, no, you aren't. You're just panicking.
You knew straight away what you did.
Yeah, it literally felt like a piece of paper just tore in my chest. So I went, I'm just going to go and have a look. And I went and had a look and put my arm up, and my chest were down, and my bicep looked a bit weird. And I like went into a little bit of shock. And I just sat down and I thought, what have you just done? Like, what an idiot. Like 1 rep max flat bench. And like, I had my elbows out, which is like bodybuilder, but I'm trying to do like powerlifter reps. It's like a powerlifter naturally tucks their elbows under, low reps. So anyway, it is what it is. It happened. So this is April 2015. And
is this what this scarring is, by the way? Just show the camera that if you can. Just see it there. Yeah.
So I tore that.
And is that scar tissue or is that operation tissue?
That's a scar from an operation.
From the operation. Yeah.
So I went straight to hospital. They tried to make me move my arm, and I was like, look, it's bad. Like, stop trying to do that. Because people said to me sometimes, how did you know you tore your pec? And I'm like, my arm was not functional. Well, that's how bad it were. So anyway, they got me in for surgery about a week later. They were really good, to be fair. But they kind of said, because I've still never got like a proper answer on it because it's physically down. But they wouldn't MRI it because they said there wasn't anyone there that could read an MRI properly because they were on holiday. I was like, you know, just email it to someone else in country. Yeah. Anyway. But I know the quicker you get it operated on, the better the recovery is. Yeah. So I will just get me in. Get me in and I'll have it done. So I had it done about 2 weeks later. So this is April 2015. I'm qualified for the Britain in October 15. So people are like, "You're not going to compete. Don't do it." So I was like, "Right." Well, I'm doing it. So I came out of hospital. I've got a video of me leg pressing with a sling on, which is stupid. And then pretty much came out of hospital straight on a diet and did the British finals in 2015. So what is that? 6 months?
Seriously?
Yeah, 6 months later. Came fourth. I think I came fourth. So I went from second to fourth. Andy Scott did it that year. So I think that was the second time me and Andy competed.
Yeah.
Aziz won. He blew everyone away. They were unbelievable. And I were a bit like, well, I just wanted to. I know people that have quit bodybuilding from tearing the pec, and I just wanted to say, like, look, it's doable.
Yeah.
You've just got to, like, want it. So I did it. And I actually did the Open Yorkshire about 2 weeks later.
Okay.
Got a lot tighter. And that was the first men's show I'd done. Because I was still...
So was that in, like, September time?
Well...
September, October.
Yeah, I was still classed as an under-23 because obviously I'd just done the under-23 Britain. And I went there and I was like, I'm not doing under-23. I did the under-90 kilo, Gary Lister Invitational.
Yeah.
So I won the under-90 kilo.
I think that was the first time I saw you on stage.
Was
you know?
it?
Yeah, because my first year was 2015.
Yeah.
My first ever show was in Malta, doing the World Champs.
Yeah, that was that year because
So-
Max O'Connor won the Worlds in Malta.
So then I went to the Open Yorkshire Classic to do some filming and bits and pieces. So that's probably where I first saw you on stage because I remember that that invite, Gary Lister's invite. Yeah.
I think the rules around that were anyone that had Gary could invite anyone that had won a Nabba show.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because I know Gary personally.
Yeah.
Like I've trained at his gym. I mean, someone took me to Gary's gym when I was like 18. So like I've got nothing but respect for Gary. He's one of the best people in British bodybuilding.
Yeah. Still want you on a podcast, Gary Lister. Still want you, man.
Yeah.
Whenever you can make it.
I'll have to let him know next time I see him.
Absolutely.
I'm actually getting his mez floor off him from our gym.
Ah, right.
So that's quite fitting.
Yeah.
So under 90, Gary Lister, and overall at my first men's show, because I went to see Gary just before, and he were like, "I think you'll win it," you know, because I'd really tightened up. I looked good, like I looked a lot better than I did at the juniors. So that was 2015, first men's show of at Moon. Still not lost a qualifier, which is like, but not won a finals.
Yeah.
So 2015, all the way off till 2017. Then, again,
So a bit of a break.
yeah, I do advise a big break. Like, if you do 12 months, you have a little bit of rebound, a little bit of time off. You've got a small off season, and then you're dieting again. 18 months to 24 months seems to be when you can really make some progress. People that get obsessed with competing too much, they tend to come back the same, which is just not progress. So, and like we've said, it's an older man's sport. Like me being 27, the last 212 Olympia were 48. I've got 20 years. I don't need to be doing shows every 6 months if it's not going to be beneficial. So
That sounds mad, that. 20 years between you and Kamal.
And I've been going 10.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like a third through my career,
Wow.
as providing everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'll be allowed to 20 years. I'm not bad to live with when I'm dieting.
Well, it's not what I've heard.
Yeah,
It's not what I've heard.
she's been chatting. So yeah, 2017. The plan was to go back to the northeast in Britain, but I did. Ryan asked me to do his Saxon show. This was the first qualifier I lost, actually, because I was about 10 weeks out and I came second to Matt Tofton.
Right.
And it started like a little bit of a me and Matt Tofton rivalry,
Okay.
which probably still exists, but he might say it doesn't. We've probably got another round to go at. So then Dan asked me to do his Hull show, and I won the overall at Hull. Actually, Matt did that as well, and I beat him at that. I think that's what started it. It was like tit for tat that year.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall there, so that was like a second men's overall, which I know when I was younger, I used to look at people that won overalls and I was like, that person's beat everyone that day that's gone to that show. So I think an overall definitely holds like a special.
Certainly does. It's nothing to be sniffed at, man.
So I were a bit like, I went a bit show crazy that year. I was like, right,
compete.
Because like again, like we mentioned, PCA let you do any qualifier.
Yeah.
And they were offering money for qualifiers at that time. They actually didn't do it for Hull, even though they did it the previous year.
Dan's a tight bastard.
Well,
I'm only joking. Joking.
It weren't Dad's fault. He says it weren't. Anyway. He probably pocketed it because he knew him with my head. So then,
shout out to Dan Melbourne.
Yeah, Big Dan just beat me at PCA. But, yeah. So I then went to the PCA North East at Newcastle. This were a good weekend actually. No one could go with me. I think it was like the first show that my dad ever missed.
All right.
So I got Eliza to do my tan. Yeah. Eliza's my wife, by the way, for anyone that didn't know. I got Eliza to do my dream tan in the morning. If anyone that's had dream tan on knows, it's horrible to have on. Drove up to Newcastle. Won the class 2. Missed the overall to the junior, Reese.
Right. Reese
McGuinness. Yeah.
I've probably seen him.
He won the Junior Britain that year.
Right.
He was shredded.
Yeah.
Looked unbelievable. The overall were 500 quid, so I was like, just missed 500 quid. I were a little bit bigger, but he was sharper. The day after, drove to Cumbria with Eliza. She was ill at this time as well. It were a hard weekend. So we drove up to Cumbria.
You Chem show that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We spoke about it earlier.
Shout out Chem.
Yeah. And won the Cumbrian overall. So, what's that? 3 wins, 2 overalls in PCA qualifiers. And then went to the PCA Britain and came 4th. So, I was quite happy with that. There were some really good guys in it. Mark Joyce, Shane Cullen, Matt Tofton were in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pete. Yeah, it were really good. So that were like the end of 2017 for me.
So a successful year.
Yeah,
you'd say,
because that was technically like my first adult year.
Yeah, proper year.
Yeah. So can't turn my nose up.
Just briefly tell us about that story from the from Chem show with Paul Thompson.
Yeah. So
I spoke to Paul Thompson earlier today, and he told me ask him about that show that we did. We competed together, and he beat me, the bastard. That's what he said.
It were a long day because obviously Cumbria is a long drive for me. Anyway, I think it's about 2.5, 3 hours. Might be a bit more actually.
It might be a bit.
So we drove up. I've known Ian for years. Ian Chambers, I really like Ian. Sean Tavernier were doing the guest spot, and I'm good mates with Sean. And I were like, we went out for tea after, and it really
was
nice.
it a UK BFF show?
No, PCA.
Just a PCA.
Ian
show?
had a PCA that year.
Right. Okay.
But it were like loads of people that I really liked, so it were nice. So yeah, we were competing, and he looked unbelievable. Like, I picked him out straight away. Like, that guy is massive. So I won my class, he won his class, and we must have had the hardest, longest overall pose down I have ever done in my life. And it was just
call after call after call.
We were literally like, it were just glad that it were over by end of it, and like, fortunately, I just managed to pip him on that.
Yeah.
Another funny thing about that show, they actually got my music wrong, and they gave me Eye of the Tiger, and I absolutely nailed every single beat of Eye of the Tiger from my Rocky days.
Bonus.
And like, I wish someone had videoed it, because it would have been the best like improvised posing routine you've ever seen in your life. But yeah, that were a good weekend in Cumbria, and it were a pleasure to compete with Tomo.
You didn't see Tomo with any sausages, did you, by any chance? No? Okay. Just a private joke.
I'll ask you about that one after.
He likes a good sausage.
Yeah. It doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. So yeah, finished 2017 with that 4th at Britain. And I kind of just thought, in fact, I decided at that point that I were doing the 2019 Nabba North East. And I know I picked one.
Hang on a minute, so you fast forwarded again a year there. So
like 2 years. In 2017, I decided that was the show I was going to do.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Because I think it was the middle of the year as well, so I literally did that show, and I was like, right, 2 years, I'm going to win North East.
All right.
Fast forward 2 years, won North East, won the overall. which was like we've said, 9 years ago, my first show was the under-18 Northeast. So to sit there as an under-18 and see people like your Dave Tittertons and your Dan Welburns winning that and the overall, that was something that I'd dreamt about.
You aspired to, I suppose, when you were a younger kid.
Exactly.
And then you've come back there to that same show, to that your area, you know, a place where you know and love on that stage, and you've taken the class win and then the overall. Must have been an outstanding moment for you, that you know that you sit back and you take all that in.
Yeah,
it's quite a big thing, isn't it?
I think it's almost impossible to take it in like initially, as much as like, because I'm a big believer in like positive thinking and the law of attraction and stuff, and I did spend 2 years thinking I am going to win that show. But in the same sense, I spent 2 years thinking I am going to win the Britain.
Right.
So I'm bearing it, other than the early qualifier I did, I'm still unbeaten in qualifiers, but not won a finals. And like, I went to the Britain and came second at the Britain to Rudy from Scotland, who were massive and like freaky and looked unbelievable. And like, I came off stage and Eliza wouldn't even talk to me. She were like that gutted, because honestly, within this 2 years of doing this show, we'd got married, had his first child, so she's sort of 1 year old at this point.
Yeah.
All this time we're like working, prepping, and it were like everything were for that Britain. And then when I came second, it were like, what do I do now? And I'd kind of like, I had the Worlds in the back of my mind, and I think by that point, I had booked everything.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna go and do it. And again, I were probably as conditioned at that Britain as I was at that Universe. I were probably on par, really, really tired.
The Worlds, you mean?
No, the Universe back in 2013.
Sorry,
I said
okay.
I were really conditioned.
Yeah.
So, what could have potentially been a little bit fuller again, which Rudy was fuller, and that's kind of what they went for on that day. So then I did things a little bit differently for the Worlds, and I was probably a little bit fuller, but well conditioned as well. So then there were a couple of good guys at the Worlds, but I remember when I were backstage, I was thinking, right, I know my glutes are in, I know I can't really be touched on quads, and my back's come up a lot, and I've got a few poses where I don't think anyone can touch me. And I thought, yeah, I know I'm up there. Brian Ward was there, who'd done really well at a couple of shows that year, and I kind of had my eye on him a little bit. I think he's Northern Ireland area. But he wasn't as tight as he was earlier in the year, and I thought it were going to be me and him battling it out. And I think they put him in fourth, and I remember thinking like, wow, like, I don't really know how this is going to go now. And I'm never comfortable until I hear someone say, and bearing in mind by this point, I've still won every qualifier and not won a finals.
That's right.
So
how many were in your class?
They were probably, I think there were like 6 or 7 blokes at the Worlds in Ireland. And obviously they've all had to win a national or a regional to get there. So the standard were really good. I think the guy that came second was from France, off the top of my head. The other height classes were all really good as well, so the overall were really good. But I knew in the back of my mind that if I won the Class 2 at the Worlds, I'd get a pro card, which was like pretty unimaginable, really.
Is that something you set out to do? Would you say go into the Worlds?
There's a really funny story about this, actually. Like, I speak to Alex Larkin a bit, who won Miss Tone Figure. I think it was 2013 she won the Universe. And I think I said to her about 4 or 5 weeks before, if I win the Worlds and get a pro card, I'll do the pro uni and you've got to come back. And she actually made me a deal on that, so she needs to come back.
She does. She does. Yeah.
But I think we said for next year, so she's got 12 months.
Got 12 months, Alex. There you go.
Whether or not she'll do it or not, I don't know, but the deal's a deal. So yeah, I went straight into the pros, because I weren't going to turn it down. It's like a dream come true.
I know you say that, and I'm going to stop you there just for a second. But that elusive title that you've been chasing for the Britain, you can't take that anymore.
Yeah,
and that's the downside to it.
Thanks for that, Chris.
But I know. But do you know what do you know what I mean? And I kind of see it from both sides of the coin, where you've now got an opportunity to really step up the game, compete with the big boys at the top, and do compete professionally. But then again, there are some drawbacks to that, where you can't compete in your regional show anymore. You can't compete on the Britain stage as in the amateurs anymore. How does one kind of deal with that kind of side of it?
I completely agree, because there's obviously motives to competing, and like, one of the main motives to the reason anyone does anything is money. And you could argue that a pro status, you can obviously compete for money, and having the status itself would return you money in business from, say, coaching or having the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
But like we've said a couple of times today, it's not all about money. And being Mr. Britain and having a national title does mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I can't do that now.
Yeah.
Unless I was to like renounce my pro card and do it again, but I don't know.
Yeah, but that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
is it?
it would. I've said this to a couple of people, and they went, "Yeah, but then you got a world title." So I potentially wouldn't trade a world title for a British title.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why we were so gutted when I got that second at the Britain. But
you can still get a Mr. Britain title
in professional Mr. Britain.
Nope. So when you're old and past it,
yeah.
when
I'm at my prime, I thought
when you've done everything, and achieved all your goals, then you can renounce your pro, and then take. I think it's 12 months. You have to leave it, and then just come back as an over 45s.
Yeah,
there you go.
But what if I'm still winning pro titles?
Well, you just carry on winning those pro titles, and then you can do the over 55s.
They'll have to do a pro Britain, and I can be professional Mr. Britain.
Well, I know that's something that probably needs to be thought about.
It's not. They probably could do with more pro shows, because I mean, what have we got at the minute? Pro World. Well, there's
you've got a Pro Am.
Yes,
which is the
Midlands.
Then you've got pros at the Worlds, Universe. Europeans now, and any other conglomerate internationals will do those. But yeah, there's going to be hopefully opportunities coming up for those things. What we have to do, I suppose, is get. I know this sounds like a strange term, but get more pros involved in competing.
Yeah.
Especially the ones based in the UK, and give them a platform to promote that particular division within Nabba, the pro division, and market it to such a degree where it requires to have a show for pros.
I think especially the British turnout for the pro universe, I think was good.
Oh yeah,
really good.
Yeah, certainly.
We've got Dan, Josh, Carl, Jack, and Dan McNabb coming straight through from amateurs. Myself, that's pretty much making up the top 10.
Yeah.
So to have the Worlds, the Universe, the Europeans, and a Pro Am at the Midlands, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't do a Pro at the Britain, as long as it's feasible.
Yeah.
I think it would be beneficial. And like, it's a spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is certainly. Certainly.
That'd be good.
So turning pro, that comes with it a certain amount of responsibility as a bodybuilder to the industry that surrounds you, and your network of people who you engage with on social media. On top of that, things like opportunities for sponsorship come along. Explain that transition from getting that pro status, and how opportunities might have arisen since. Or has your decision process changed in any way, shape or form as to how you now go about your bodybuilding activities?
I mean, I feel like for a long time, and I've been told this in terms of like posing and how I act and social. I've been building my social media for a lot longer than since I've been professional. I feel like I've always tried and possibly succeeded in conducting myself as a professional. Mm-hmm. But the title just seals it, really. So then since getting that, obviously the chemical warfare came up, which I'm not sure how much that will have swayed Kirk's decision in contacting me for that, but it's just...
How soon after was that contact made?
Well, I think Chemical relaunched early this year, and they sponsored the North East. Mm-hmm. So I actually had my eye on them from that time. Yeah. Partially due to the way they present themselves at shows, which is second to none, and the fact that they had Zach, which is an incredible athlete to have on board. And then, so I were kind of looking at him, watching him on social media, saw him grow quite a lot. And it was really weird at the time. I remember looking at him and thinking, they've grown a lot since the North East. And then I got a message from Kirk saying, how are you fixed at the minute for talking about a potential deal? And basically, as soon as I spoke to him and heard his vision on what he wanted the brand to be, I had no doubts in wanting to be a part of that, basically.
Have you ever been sponsored before?
I've had...
We don't need to name names, but have we had sponsorships?
I've had certain like verbal deals where I've had a certain amount of product and I've done a certain amount of promotion. I've had a couple where it's not been contractual what I've got, but then they've sent a list through saying this is what you must do, and I'm like, it goes both ways. Chemical is the first contractual one, so it's the first time I've signed a contract for someone, which is, it's just more of an indication of how
professional they are.
Professional they are, and how serious we both are about the deal. But I suppose it's a bit of a technicality, formality. But it's just, it doesn't make much difference to my input to them, because I'm happy to promote something that I believe in. I mean, one of the first things I look at is if I would spend my own money on it, because I can't tell someone to...
It's the integrity of the product, isn't it? That's the main thing.
I can't tell someone to buy a product that I think is overpriced, and that is not. And the products... Kirk's happy for me to promote the products that I genuinely use. And anyone that knows me and has worked with me and spoke to me knows I like a pump pre-workout and I like an essential amino acid. So as soon as I look at that brand and they are two of the flagship products, then great. Yeah. So it were pretty easy all round, to be honest. He wanted to get straight on with the Universe Prep Series, which was great because they were the main sponsor for the show. Mm-hmm. So that went hand in hand really well. And we cracked on with that straight away, and the filming we've got some really good results from that. So I'm hoping people are watching them, liking them. And it's still new. So I'm hoping it builds and builds and builds, which I'm sure it will do.
Yeah, no doubt.
We both know Kirk quite well. And
well, the thing is, you're turning out as a new pro.
Yeah.
Still yet to do your pro debut. But yeah, you're turning out as a new pro to the scene with a view, and we're going to get onto that shortly about your plans for the future. You're looking to compete or be competitive. That's the main thing at a pro show in the future, which means you've got some, I'm guessing, time out and then time back in again to get back into prep mode. And you'll be growing alongside a brand that is growing, so you kind of prosper and grow together as a two, which is great to see. So sponsorship come along. Not only that, didn't you get a gym?
Yeah, the gym.
Do you want to talk about that?
It's been a mad year. The gym came about between the Britain and the Worlds.
Wow.
Completely out of the blue.
That's like a 2-week window.
Yeah. I think it was the Monday after the Britain. I literally it was an already established gym, which has probably been in my area for sort of. It's probably like 30 years. Like everyone knows this gym.
It's older than you then.
Probably. It's passed a couple of hands, been in a couple of different premises, and a friend of mine that trained there texted me on like a Monday morning when I were at work, and he said Nelly's selling Empire, and I was like, right. It used to be in an Indian with a bar, and they served alcohol out of the bar at the gym. And I says, it's not still in that Indian, is it? And he goes, no, go and have a look on Instagram. He's moved it to like a nice unit. And I've trained at a couple of gyms that are like industrial units with a big shutter, and like you get that like natural Venice Beach lighting. And I remember thinking, this is what I want. So I had a look, and I was like, yeah, that looks good. What does he want for it? Told me what he wanted. And I was like, right. And at this point, I'm like, I've been working full-time, overtime.
What were you doing?
I worked as like a warehouse supervisor.
Yeah.
Started with like, I went on the shop floor to get used to the product, and then I was in the office as like a really planning, IT-based, route cards. It's an industrial fasteners company, so it's like cut, thread, point, assemble a nut, pick, pack, that sort of stuff. And then that kind of like moved into managing a few lads and a bit of a supervisor role. A good job, really comfy. I wasn't really looking to get out. Like they catered to my bodybuilding really well, and it were good. So when I got this text, I was a bit like shaking, because I thought, I can't pass this up. Like this is a big opportunity.
I'm guessing it's something you've considered in the past doing.
Yeah,
but never seen a door open or an avenue that you could take.
Yeah, I think anyone that's trained always has the dream of owning a gym.
Yeah.
But anyone that owns a gym will tell you it's probably not as glamorous as everyone thinks it is, because everyone thinks you don't go to work and you earn loads of money. The BMO brand as a whole does all right. The gym itself, it's not the most lucrative business. I mean, my wife is in salons. The startup versus return on them is a much better business plan than a gym. But this existing gym with an existing membership base and what I got it for, and off the back of the Northeast, the Britain, what I kind of felt was coming with the Worlds, I couldn't turn it down. Well, I rang Eliza and said, can I do it?
Please.
So, and she's like, she wants everything yesterday, now, 100 miles an hour. So I knew it weren't going to take much convincing. And we went that night and looked at it and basically said, look, draw a contract up, I'll do it. And I were kind of thinking, right, I'll go there at 6, I'll do this, I'll come and get us baby, I'll take her to nursery, I'll go back to where I were working, I'll see if they'll let me do part-time, then you'll have to go back to the gym. And she went, just quit your job. And I was like, I'm so like safe and steady.
Well, yeah, you've got the steady job. You say your wife's self-employed in salons.
Yeah. So she's fine. She doesn't rely on me or anything like. So it wasn't like I was the only one, but I was the secure one, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like the bills were paid. Yeah. Roof over his head, food on the table, sort of thing. So I were a bit like, I can't lose this.
It's a big risk, man. It's a big risk. I've done it myself.
I almost didn't know exactly what it would entail until I'd done it. Eliza would have had a better idea than me from her kind of working on a self-employed business owner basis from leaving school, whereas I've been employed on a salary since leaving school. But I know now it wouldn't have worked to keep my employment, so I just bit the bullet and just did it. And like that,
it takes a lot for somebody who's just had a kid.
Yeah,
who's competing actively. Recently married-ish, I suppose. How long have you been married?
Almost just over 2 years.
2 years.
Now, yeah.
So, you're starting that family life now. I'm quitting my job.
Yeah.
and I'm going to get a gym.
Well, I mean, the 1-year-old.
I did more or less the same thing, minus the kid.
Yeah.
Proposed to my wife on the Tuesday. Asked her could I quit my job on the Thursday. She said yes to both, and went self-employed literally the week after. And I suppose you've got to get yourself into a position where all the stars are aligned.
Yeah.
Everything seems right. And you've got to convince yourself of that, because if there's any doubt, then it's the wrong decision. Do you know what I mean?
And I think that ties in with the leaving of your job.
Yeah.
I think with anything, you really have got to give it your all. You can't give something half your effort and then complain when it returns half a return.
100%.
But so when did I move? So I can't remember the exact dates. I know the date that I went in there was the 24th of June.
Yeah.
So when I went to the Worlds, I knew I was going to get the gym. And this sounds really bad, but like, it almost made me not think the Worlds was that serious. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Britain had been like, everything is about this show.
That was the pinnacle. That was what you've been planning for. That's what you've been training for.
So then when this gym came along, it were like, this is my family's future. Like, what is a bodybuilding show in comparison to that? Are
you telling me you nearly didn't do the Worlds?
No, it was just, it might have been a benefit that I didn't stress about it as much, because I was literally like, I'm coming back to a gym.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
You're looking forward to getting back.
Well, I was
sorting it all out.
Even before it had properly gone through, because I really trusted the guy that I'd got it off, I was like buying bits of kit, taking them in, like thinking I'm going to do this, I want to move that. And Eliza were like, you can't move out in his gym until you've got it. So when I were at the Worlds, I knew it was going to happen. I've had people at work for a couple of years, like, because they know I do coaching and stuff, and they're like, when are you leaving and that? And I'm like, I'm not. I'll be here for a bit. And then that happened, and they went, oh, you kept that quiet. I was like, I didn't.
I didn't plan it.
I got offered it one day and got it that day. We don't do anything by halves. We like, should we do a show and get married and have a kid? Yeah.
It's nice that you can live like that, mate, and it's great that you've always got a smile on your face. Whenever I see you, whether you're competing or not, you always seem to have a very, very positive attitude and a very positive aura around you. And it's great that you've got the support as well from the missus, and I'm guessing now the gym. I'm guessing you've formed some nice bonds now with your clients that are coming into the gym, and you're still doing your PT work, I guess, and that kind of thing.
The gym's amazing. Like, I didn't put too much emphasis on how it was before I had it, because I knew that I had my own like following and contacts, and I would be able to make it work. Yeah. But the actual membership that it's got is unbelievable. Like, there is so many. There isn't one bad person there, and I know that sounds so like cliche, but it's right. And like, I've always been it's a proper bodybuilding gym. It's not a mainstream contract, whatever. It's a proper bodybuilding gym, and but they're not that clued up on competing. So they're a bit like, I've got some of my trophies on back, and they're like, are they all yours? I'm like, some of them, yeah. And they're like, what? What's Mr. World? Like, does that mean you wouldn't beat everyone in World? And I'm like, well, yeah, in amateurs. So it's a bit of an eye-opener for them. Okay. But then when I did that guest spot at Trevor's, I think I sold more tickets than anyone.
Seriously,
because everyone at the gym, and that were just for a guest spot.
Bonus.
But because it were quite close, it were easy. But they were like 30 people.
Did you get, correct me if I'm wrong, best supported gym?
I don't think we did, although I'm not sure how we didn't. Someone might have just pipped us on it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But we can't have been far off, because I did about 30 odd tickets.
Yeah, must have done.
And like, it were a good show, but they weren't hundreds of people there. So anyway.
So that's the first time somebody clients has seen you on stage?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I've brought some of my existing clients and friends into the gym, but the majority is the existing loyal membership to that gym.
Yeah, that's good.
Which again is like, I've said to people, if you had a very high start-up cost with a brand new gym with no membership base, that would be hard.
Yes.
Like you said, everything aligned.
Yeah.
And it were like, and it's been, don't get me wrong, it's been hard. I know you say you've seen me and I always like smiley and positive, but it has brought some of the hardest times of my life over the past, I've had it nearly 5 months now.
Yeah.
But I can see
the thing is, it's hard because you've never done it before.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. And if you've never done it before and you learn by those issues and mistakes by correcting them, it's just like bodybuilding, just like training. The harder you work at it, and the harder you push that weight or try and solve the problem, the more you learn, the more you'll be adaptable in the future if another problem arises.
Yeah,
and that's all business is. And yes, you will find hurdles that you're thinking, how do I jump over that? How? But if you put your mind to it, you can kind of do anything, and that's all you need to remember when you're doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But fair play to you. You've opened a gym, you've had a kid, you got married. Not opened a gym, you bought a gym, but you're managing to make it work. Come away with a world title, turned pro, competed twice, still not done your pro debut, but everything seems to be going your way, mate, at the moment, and I'm really pleased for you. And your sponsorship with Chemical Warfare as well.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see. And to see you training for the first time, never seen it until today training. Got a shout out to Strength and Fitness Labs in Wigan for letting us film in there today.
Absolutely.
So everything's going in the right direction. Everything's positive. Everything's moving forward. Let's move forward now and project ourselves into the future. Do we have an ultimate goal? Do we have an initial goal? Do we have what's the plans?
For next year, my focus is 100% the gym and 100%. Well, can't do 200%, but the gym, my family, and I want to focus a lot more on coaching.
I suppose to a degree, your family and the gym,
it's tied in.
It's tied in, isn't it? It's work. It's what brings them.
The more I put into that, the more benefit it will have for us as a family.
Yeah,
because you've probably had it yourself. You have those weeks where you do 70, 80 hours. The money's here and there, and you're like, why am I doing this? And then you have another one where you get a morning at home with your wife and your daughter, and the gym does really well, and you're like, this is it. This is why I've done it.
Yeah.
And again,
I never have those moments, by the way, where I do 70 to 80 hours a week and think, why am I doing this? But my wife does.
Yeah.
My wife does.
See, I'm like, I don't have a problem when I'm at the gym. I love being at the gym. When I finish at 9 and I get home and I'm there at 7 in the morning and Eliza's tired or I'm tired, I'm just like, this is hard. This is hard work. And BB's already in bed. But then, like I say, I get hours and hours that I spend with her that I wouldn't have got when I were working 9 while 5 Monday to Friday. Yeah. A lot of days I open the gym, Eliza goes to train, we swap over, I take BB to nursery. So there's pros and cons always, and I know long term it's going to be the best thing for us all.
I think the further down the line you go with that as well, the more of a routine you can create, or the more of a relaxed approach to the way you manage your time.
Yeah.
Because naturally you'll get into a flow with the gym and the members and how it all works, and you know what I mean. I'm talking about, and then you'll find, I can kind of have a relaxing day today because I know everything's where it needs to be and sorted. So that will get better, I guess, the longer you do that. And eventually, do you have staff in the gym? Do you have staff?
I've just started now. Right. Again, it's like you can't go in after a month and start dishing all these wages out when you don't know what it's going to cost and what it's going to return. So sort of 4 or 5 months down the line, I get help off my dad and my brother. They're happy to cover while they train. I make sure they get back what they're putting in.
Yeah,
but I have
a couple of quid.
Yeah, a few t-shirts, a few protein shakes. Yeah. But I have got a member of staff now where I can say, "Can you work, for example, today 1 while 6?"
Yeah.
And then my dad's took over for 6 while 9 while he trains, so that I can come and do this, or so that if Eliza's worked and she's tired, I can have BB for the morning. So But it's took until this point to be able to do that. And like you say, that will only get better. I might get to a point where I can say, right, can you do these hours every week and I can afford to pay you this? And then I'm then in a management position where I'm sat at home, still with the business still doing well and spending time with my family.
That's right. Or focusing on other things such as the website and doing content like that. And let's talk about that briefly. The BMO.
Yeah. So the origin of BMO was the online subscription site. Kind of started around October last year, October 2018. Again, at the time, I actually said to Eliza, I haven't got time to do this, so this is going to be yours. Obviously, I were going to do the filming. I would be filmed. We would get someone to do the videos, upload them, and it would be a subscription site. I then insisted that I wanted a forum because I feel like that the monthly payment for the ability to just message what is this, what is that, what can I do for this, what can I do for that is very good value for money. Yeah. And then in addition, you've got the videos, which are entertaining. I wanted them to be entertaining, probably more than educational, but be educational. So we actually got like a backlog of videos done, which are still needing to go on. Some of them are on. But then with the shows, which went better than expected, with the gym, time just got consumed. Eliza went back to doing a lot more hours at her salon, so she couldn't be the driving force for it anymore. So
the best laid plans Afghan aglé, as you would say. The best laid plans sometimes go wrong.
Yeah.
And if you consider the amount of stuff that you've done, you know, that little thing that you can pick up at a later date, that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? That's something you can look at further down the line.
The good thing about the site now is it is literally done, dusted and ready to go.
Yeah.
I just need to put content on there. But now I've got this gym, the sort of till area is now the hub for the website.
Is that where you Skype me from?
Yeah. I'm going to get a little backdrop like this, make it look professional.
Put media on. Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I said, because my dad's a graphic designer by trade. I said, I want a backdrop with BMO on it. And they were like, what else do you want on it? Like chemical, gym food. So like, yeah, we can definitely look at that. Because I know, like, especially from what we've spoken about today.
Have you got any Power Zone equipment in your gym?
Power Zone? No, not yet. Why are you going to get me some?
No, it's just that I've got a backdrop.
A Power Zone
from when with chemical warfare on it.
All right.
Pump media.
Yeah.
And Power Zone.
Oh, I'll
have to speak to the boys at Power Zone.
I'll tell them if I put it in, can I have like a seated car for us?
Yeah, something like that.
It would be good though. I'll just write BMO on it.
Yeah, it was from when we had Phil Heath over.
Yeah.
And we were doing, what was it for? There must have been the sponsorship. The signing thing. And I got to pull up banner for the event. It fucking turned up, did it? It turned up the day after Phil had been here, so I couldn't use it. But it's sat somewhere in this room. And it's got chemical warfare on it, pump media, and Power Zone.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So you take that with you.
Yeah, that'd be mint.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the original idea was to do a lot of like professional videos, and then that's kind of like changed a little bit. That I think I'll maybe do 1 to 2 a month that are kind of like updates, really cinematic, entertaining with music and this sort of stuff. But like, I really like real content. And I've done a few videos where I've just sat there on bike and just spoken a little bit, and people are like, do more of those, like do loads of those. So like, where I was sat when we did our interview, I want to just sit my phone up and go, right, let's talk about peak week, let's talk about cardio, let's talk about rep ranges. And I do genuinely think there is a lot of potential in that site.
Well, certainly, I mean, from what we've done today with the filming, your natural delivery on camera, although monotone and Yorkshire-ish, is absolutely fine, but it comes across in a very, very honest way, and that's just the way you are, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that you can deliver on camera and you can say what you need to say in a very eloquent way, and be entertaining, be informative at the same time, is an attribute that you should certainly pursue more of.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I could easily like jazz things up and intentionally not say like Yorkshire things and that. But I just like
Yorkshire things and that.
Yeah, like get it out of the car. But I could be worse. I could go more Yorkshire, but
You could go ZKK.
yeah, or Barnsley Pitbull. Everyone brings that one up. Yorkshire Terrier. That's me. But no, I want to be as real as possible. I see people do videos and it looks so forced and so fake. I mean, I were even thinking about it on the way over here. I'm not gonna talk like I don't talk. I wouldn't want to watch it, and I don't think everyone else would want to watch it. But you've got to like.
Well, one of your attributes is, and it's certainly something that comes across on camera, is your likability as a person. You're very open, honest, charismatic. You're professional in your delivery and your decorum. Do you know what I mean? You sat up straight right now. Do you not?
Yeah.
You're not slouching. Do you know what I mean? You present yourself to the world in a particular way that is very easy to watch and easy to listen to.
Which is perfect, really.
Exactly, that's what you need.
And if that is how I am naturally, then everybody wins. And then, I mean, what does that come down to? Is that luck or fate or law of attraction? I don't know. But it works. It works. And sometimes, yes, you have to force a particular persona in certain situations. Depends who you're confronted with, I suppose. Yeah.
I try, because I don't like being on camera. I'm on camera right now, but I don't like it particularly. That's kind of this, that, and this is my safety net. Do you know what I mean? That's if I didn't have these,
up a little bit.
But at the same time, I have to do it, and you kind of try your best to be yourself. I want people to watch back some of these podcasts and see how much I do in between conversations. I go all the time, or
Well, I do that a little bit as well.
But in previous podcasts, I was horrendous.
Yeah.
And then I got better and better and better and stopped saying
Yeah.
And then about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I started doing some podcasts. I think yours was one of them.
Yeah.
And I was doing it all the time. And people could have like drinking competitions with that kind of thing. You know, every time he says you have to have a shot of vodka or something. But again, you force a particular persona to a degree, but as long as you're still yourself and you're not trying to deliver something else.
Yeah, and I mean, you could argue that that's experience. The more that you're doing it, it's not fake. It's more just you're thinking, need to do that less.
You just want to present yourself in the way that. If the thing is, you're probably your own worst critic on camera. I certainly am, and if I can deliver something in such a way where I think it's watchable, then hopefully other people might. So I would encourage you to carry on doing your filming, do your vlogs, and do as much content out there, whether it's for your site or for free, onto socials, just little snippets for people to see, to engage with. And I've just done it again, and I would encourage you to do that as much as you can, to the best of your ability. That's the main thing. So.
Yeah. So obviously, talking about going forward, that's the website. That's like my main priority now. I am really like, I had the web guy around the other day, and I'm like, right, let's get these videos on. Once the video's on, I can start pushing it more on social media. So that's the website. The gym, like I say, I've got the second floor coming in. So it's going to go from like 2,000 square foot to about 3.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big second floor.
It's almost double the premise, which is great.
Yeah.
Original idea was for it to be a little bit smaller and put cardio and leg machines up there, no free weights. The size of it now is probably looking like, which is good. I want to put like some functional stuff in it so we can. Eliza likes a functional circuit type training, so she can start doing stuff like that with her and clients. Yeah. I've about got all the machinery in there that I want. I've trained there since the day that I got it, so I'd like to think if it's enough for me, it's enough for anyone with similar goals. Again, bringing the functional stuff in is to appeal to different goals.
Yeah.
Again, the coaching I want to focus on. So that's the reason that I will, other than the other reason of progress, probably have 2020 off competing.
Yeah.
I would love to compete. Like I think I mentioned to you earlier, I don't feel like what I brought to the pros was a justification of how I looked in terms of the magical peak week.
Yeah.
I felt like I was harder than I displayed, but I was big on stage, so it may have been a trade-off. It was what it was at the time. So I've got that itch to like prove that I was better, but at the same time I know in time I can be a lot more competitive. I think I could be like top 3, top 6 competitive next year, because for both of those shows, with my call-outs, I seem to be hovering around those spots.
So when you say next year, do you mean 2020 or 2021?
I mean 2020 if I was to do it.
Right.
So my reasoning, partially for focusing on business and partially because I feel if I take that year off, 2021, I think I can push for top spots.
Well, let's make a magical prediction, right, and try and foresee the next 2 years, because that's what it is. It's 2 years away. So between now and next November, sorry, you sort your business out.
Yeah.
Everything is where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're comfortable up here. You're big because you've been training and eating anyway, because that's just natural. That's what will happen. You'll grow, won't you?
Exactly.
And then you're in the most comfortable position in your life, hopefully. Then you've got 12 months still before you step on that stage. Whereas if you concentrate on getting your business sorted between now and, say, when would you start prepping for the uni?
I like to do a 16-week,
so
4-month
we're talking
prep.
July.
Yeah.
So July, August, September, October. Well, maybe August.
It's not a long time.
So, that shaves off a lot of time, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So if you can then concentrate on the next 12 months in building the size, building that frame up to be the most competitive you could possibly be with a 2-year window is it's going to be frightening. I
mean, I've had feedback for this year that I was big enough. I just need to bring the condition that I had at the Worlds.
Big enough for what though? Big enough to win, or big enough to be competitive? To be a top 3?
That it wasn't specified, but I suppose as a generalisation, you would assume it was big enough to win.
Okay.
If I was to bring the condition I had like around the middle of the year for the Britain and the Worlds, because I was carrying more tissue. I have built tissue in that amount of time. But in bodybuilding, if you can be bigger, why would you not be bigger?
Exactly.
Because the bigger you are, providing you are in comparable condition, you will do better. So, and I want it to be so undeniably ridiculous that people are just
freaky.
Like, I just want it to be like,
you want to be a freak.
Yeah. And I know I can, because like you've just touched on, I've got to where I've got working a lot. Like, I get it, people now are like, oh, it's easy for you, you've got a gym. I've had a gym for 4 months. I've had a proper job for 6-7 years. Like, I know what it's like to be out of the house for 14 hours, packing all your food. The Worlds, I was sleeping for like 4 hours a night. I were doing 45 minutes cardio, sleeping 4 hours, 45 minutes cardio, training at 6, working 9 hours, nighttime routine for a 1-year-old. I know what it's like to... It was almost like a part-time thing. So to win the Worlds and turn pro as a part-time, now I'm full-time. What's 2 years full-time going to do? And I know, and then when I get in condition, like you said, when my head's right, 4 months solid prep, like, and I know that I can be up there. So that's what I want. So
2021.
Yes.
A freaky.
Yeah, Nabba Pro Universe.
A freaky Nabba Pro Universe is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's 2 years. 2 years of more or less an off season.
Yeah, and it's like
that's going to be ridiculous, man.
Although I work a lot now, I sleep a lot more in terms of I get an 8 hours.
Getting better recovery and everything.
And like, I put an amount of muscle on in the last 6 months that I would have probably said to someone wasn't really doable. And that must be from the lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So again, another 2 years of that. It's pretty... I'm excited. I hope...
Let's revisit this.
Yeah.
In April. Let's do a pre-season podcast.
Yeah.
Next April. We'll get you in the first week, because the first show is on the 11th up in Scotland. And we'll just revisit where you're up to. Not just with the bodybuilding, but with the business and all those kinds of things. And let's just see where you're at. And then following that, let's do a pre-universe podcast.
Very good.
And then the following year, let's do another one.
See, it seems like such a long time now.
It's not. It'll go like that, man.
I've done it before. I've done 2 years before, and it's like, before you know it, we will be sat here saying, right, it's Universe soon, and we'll go to Universe, we'll watch Universe and cover it, and then we'll be like, see you in April.
And obviously we'll get some progress pictures in the Pump Media magazine.
Exactly. Get some articles, get some features.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get some 260 deads instead of 220 deads. It's just all about progress.
Yeah,
it's a sport of progress. It's not a sprint. Like we've said, you've got people at the top of the sport at 48 years old.
Yeah.
I can afford to take 2 years. It will benefit me to take 2 years. It'd be so easy to go, I'm pissed off, I'm going to go and do it next year, and then go there next year and play sixth and be like...
Because then you'll say to yourself, well, I need to take 2 years out, and then that's 3 years down the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So...
You've got to do it with your head screwed on, and you've got to do it with the right goals and the right vision, and set your targets realistically.
I've capitalised...
Incorporating life and family within that, you know.
I've maximised 2019.
Yeah.
I've done everything that I could possibly do and dream of, and it's been insane. And now it's like settled, and I'm like, right, this is good. Let's take some time, get some important stuff done, and then really come back and show people what I've been working towards and what I'm capable of over the last 10 years and for the next 10 years.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that journey, buddy.
Yeah,
I really am. And I think it is right that you do take that time out. You do focus on your family and your business to set yourself up for the next. Because if you go and compete, it sets you up for that competition, that one thing, and then that's over and done with. You've got to set yourself up for the rest of your life now with the business and your family life. So it's really important. Really good to see that you're doing it with your head screwed on in the right way. Have you got any shout outs that you want to make, because we're going to wrap up very shortly?
I've obviously got Chemical. I've had no second thought since I've been on board with them. Everything's perfect.
Chemicalwarfare.com.
Yeah. Owned by Kirk, who is an absolute character and a pleasure to work with. I get daily calls from Kirk, which is always a highlight.
Check out the bags, guys.
Yeah.
And check out the sups as well. So what we've got here: Nitro Pump, we've got the Bomb, and we've got some L-glutamine. There we go.
That's my
what have you got there?
Nitro Pump.
That's a Nitro Pump
that I had with EAA. Drew 20 for discount online. That'd be amazing.
Really? Drew 20?
Drew 20.
Drew 20, guys. Get yourselves online. Purchase your supplements from there.
There's loads of bundles. The clothing's just launched.
Yep.
You will see me wearing a vest today.
Do you know what? Kirk gave me a Chemical Warfare t-shirt, and I'm pretty sure it's in this room somewhere, because I wanted to wear it for the podcast. Can I find it?
Yeah.
No. But I can't turn the cameras around, guys, but it is a shithole in here at the moment.
Well,
I need to tidy up.
I had mine on for training.
Yeah, you did.
We got one garment in. I probably do the same shout outs every time. I always say my dad, because my dad got me into it with the Rambo and Schwarzenegger films. Obviously Eliza, because no one appreciates what it takes more than the immediate partner of someone that competes. She does more than I could ever ask her to do in terms of just everything. She's never stopped working. I mean, when we had BB, she worked all. She was 2 weeks early. She worked right up until that. Probably went back 5-6 weeks after.
Did she?
Oh,
wow.
She's an absolute workhorse. which is amazing. She's the best mum. And she supports me. She believes in me and supports me more than I do myself. And I think I'm only just realising what I'm capable of now because of meeting her and being with her for just over 3 years.
Yeah. Fair play to man. It's always nice. Yeah, it's a nice story, you know.
Absolutely.
And to have that kind of support behind you in your endeavours, whatever they are, is always nice to encourage you through the bodybuilding, to encourage you through the gym. Is really good to see. So so consider yourself a lucky man, I guess, to have found somebody like that who can support you in everything that you do. And
then if we were talking about bodybuilders, I mean, pretty much everyone that sat in this seat, I've watched all the videos, like Jason Corricks, Paul Sutton, pending Gary Lister.
Apparently you want Jason Corrick back on so you can listen to it for another hour and a half.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
you have to come back on, Jason.
I mean, me and Jason judged the Open Yorkshire, and I was literally like, I'm sat next to Jason Corrick. I was like, Jason, what did you used to eat? I bet he was sick of me by the end of the day. But that were good.
He's a legend.
We've spoke about Nigel Cox before, believed in me from being he says to me all the time, I could see it. I can look at someone and I'm like that now. I look at people and I'm like, his muscle insertions and his genetics, like he will do it. Yeah. So I completely know what he means when he used to look at me. I still go and see him at Total Rebuild now, and it's like he gets a bit emotional when he sees me and he's like, I can't believe it. But yeah, it's just I feel like 10 years of hard work has all really like come together this last year. And like that's one of the reasons I was really excited to do this, because it is just like a recap of 10 years.
Yeah, it's kind of summarising that journey for you. But you're doing the summary.
I can look back at this and be like, that were 2019.
Yeah.
Or I can show BB and be like,
yeah,
this is what we were doing when you were one.
And in 2021,
well,
having spoke about what we've been speaking about today, you'll be able to move that forward into 2021, reach the fulfillment goal, and project that out to the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she can again look back on that and be proud of you.
Imagine that for a training montage.
Wow, that'll be epic. That'll be epic. Well, Drew Walker, I want to say a huge thank you for driving all this way. A lot longer than you thought. Yeah. 2 hours instead of 1.
It's not too bad.
Your geography's not been not great? No?
I think what I must have done is I must have been somewhere else and I just mapped Wigan and I was like, I'm like an hour 20 away, Chris. And then I put it into there and went, I'm going to be an hour late.
Let's put it down to the traffic, man.
Yeah.
Let's put it down to the traffic. But again, thanks for coming all this way to come and do some training. Mm-hmm. At a local gym, and shout out to Julie Rose for letting us train at the gym today and do some filming. We'll certainly be back. We'll be putting the training video out after this podcast, so make sure you check that one out, guys. But if there's anything left to say it now, and then we'll wrap up and job done.
No, I'm again, thank you for having me. I've been waiting a long time to do it. I'm looking forward. I think we've got a lot of stuff by the sounds of it coming up, haven't we?
Absolutely.
And like you've touched on earlier, I do love bodybuilding. Like you can probably tell by the things I talk about and the things I've done, and I know everyone I've competed against and who won what show, what year. I'm a fan of bodybuilding, and I do genuinely want to see bodybuilding progress. And I know you and Pump Media are going to have a lot to do with that. And I'm excited to be considered like a key figure in that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you absolutely, and you are, because the way you conduct yourself, your achievements speak for themselves. You know, almost a 10-year history competing, a world champion bodybuilder, a Nabba pro, sponsored athlete from a reputable brand that is also supporting the bodybuilding industry really, really well. Everything's in the right place. Again with the gym too, so congratulations on your achievements. Well done for everything that you've done so far. Look forward to seeing what comes next.
Yes.
And we'll see you back here in April for another podcast to see A, how huge you are, and B, how things are with the business and the gym.
Yeah.
Is that all right, bud?
Thank you.
Nice one, mate. Drew Walker, guys, thanks very much indeed for tuning in one more time. to the Pump Media Studios for another Pump Media podcast. I've no idea what number this is, but we'll work it out at some point. Stay tuned. There'll be lots more coming over the winter months and into the spring, including information about our new Pump Media magazine. Woohoo!
Yes.
Can't wait for that one. It's going to be awesome. We will see you again soon, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in, and good night.